Tiffany, and we're going to talk about some ideas and some ways to freshen up your potted gardens in the middle of the summer when it's very, very hot, and a lot of things have already started to look peaked because of the temperature. But we've pulled some plants here that I think will make it through the rest of the heat for us and will be absolutely beautiful on your patio or by your front door, wherever you've got some good sun. So what I'm actually planting today is a pot for a customer who is going to be using this pot on her new patio, and it'll go up against her house. So I'm planting this pot as a one-sided pot with a back. I want some height and I want some dramatic color. Everything is kind of light tones of gray in her patio and her house, so I want to just give it a pop of color. So she has actually chosen the pot. We've got one large pot and one smaller pot. We will be planting both pots, not the same, but similar in color, so that she can use it both on her patio. And I'm going to start with the larger one, and what I normally tell people is buy the largest pot you can afford. You can't go wrong. The bigger the better. There's a couple of reasons. You could put more plants in a larger pot. You get more wow with more plants, and then you can also put more soil in, which actually holds more water, which results in less watering frequency. I would suggest that you go ahead and get a glazed pot, as that will also help hold the moisture in. And this one is very nice and thick. It's a good inch and a half, maybe inch and a quarter thick, and it will help kind of insulate the soil and keep the roots at a more consistent temperature and happy. So I am filling this pot with Bactile Light Premium Potting Soil. It's a good mix. You can tell out of the bag it's a little bit, it's nice and dark, so it's got a good moisture content in it already. It has the little spacers to allow air, and we have planted successfully with this mix for several years. A lot of people ask, do you put rocks in the bottom of your pot? I do not. The hole is small, and if you lose some dirt, it's not very much. So I just like to have as much dirt as I can have. Some people ask, do you fill the pot with something before you fill the dirt? I do not. I have unpotted things that had like packing peanuts in them, where the roots were all tangled up in peanuts. Well, those roots were not getting any nutrients. Packing peanut doesn't give you any nutrient. So I like to go ahead and just put the pot where it's going to go, fill it with dirt, and go from there. Now, if I can't plant it in place, then I will have a couple of strong guys move it for me, which is what we will do with this. So now that I've emptied the bag enough that I can lift it, I'm going to dump it in. All right, this is what I'm going to start with. If I were doing small plants, I would fill it up a lot fuller because it's easier to part the soil when you're doing smaller plants. But I'm going to start with this pot with an absolutely beautiful grass. It's called First Night, and it is a perennial grass. It's relatively new to the market. There's a couple of different varieties, First Night, Princess Caroline. They all have a little bit different characteristics. Now, this is a 3-gallon plant, and you can see it's a little bit root bound. It's asking for water because it's been sitting on the floor. It's hot. I'm just going to clean it up, and we're going to use it. I love the color. I love the height, and we're going to start our pot with this grass. Just going to clean it up. It won't matter that it's bare on the bottom because you won't see it. I think that's good enough for now, and we will make more adjustments as we need to. Once everything's in the pot, we'll clean up this one too. Okay. So I'm going to kind of smash this flat. I don't want it to take up, I want it to take up as little room as possible. And if I had a knife, I'd probably slit the bottom of it and just let it, see if it would go in a little bit further. It is terribly root bound, so I'm just going to cut it. It'll encourage the roots to grow down to the bottom of the pot instead of at the top, where it will be able to get more nutrients and not compete with the smaller things. With a good root ball on it, I'm not worried about doing this to it. It's going to be fine. If it had a very shallow or a very small root ball on it, I might be a little more concerned about treating it so roughly. But this guy is going to be just fine. So he is going to go all the way to the back, and I have pushed him down so that I have a little bit of room at the top, so that when I get my other things in there and the dirt in, I will still have a little bit of room for the water to sit until it can actually go down into the soil. So, now, the things that are looking fresh and good right now are going to make it through the heat the rest of the summer. So, you know, you're pretty well assured that this pot will make it through until fall, as long as you water it. The next thing I'm going to use is a croton. And although it doesn't have blooms, it has fantastic leaf color. This is, again, another 3-gallon container. And I think it's too big to actually put in this pot the way it is. I don't want just croton in the pot. I want to be able to add some color and some other things as well. So, I am going to just take this little guy out of the pot. I'm going to jiggle it around. I'm going to work the roots loose. And I am going to take off one piece of this. As you can see, there are 3. So, I'm just going to keep working at it. Again, we can use a knife. I usually tend to use a knife only when it is like a tuber or a very massive root ball. The other times I tend to just kind of see if I can't work it loose. And there we go. All right. So I am going to put this one right here on this side. I'm at a little disadvantage because I'm working from the back, so I can't exactly see what it looks like from the front. So when I get a few more things in there, I'll come around and make sure it's looking good. I am going to open my next bag of potting soil and put some more soil in. The things I'm going to work with now are a little bit smaller in gallon size, so I do want some dirt in the pot. I want to be able to put my dirt in there and just scoot it over and have my plant stand up where I want it. Okay, let's see if we can work with that now and go from there. So, my next plant that I would like to use, and I'm building tallest down, so that we start with the tallest in the back, obviously, since it's going to be a one-sided pot. This is a Rudbeckia, Indian Summer. It's fabulous. Those yellow blooms, nothing says summer like those yellow blooms. So, and it is in a small quart container. Got a really good root system. I'm just going to loosen it up just a little bit, and I'm going to put it right in front of this grass. Great contrast. The next one I want to build with is a Penta. And the Penta is going to be probably a little bit shorter, close to the same size as the Rudbeckia, but it's a pink. So it's going to give us a good contrast in the back there. This is a gallon-sized container. Pentas are great through the summer heat. They really hold up and do the job. And you know, if you have a deer problem, the deer don't eat pentas, so that's always a good go-to. And now it's not as tall as it's going to be, so we will have a little more height in there once it's settled in and growing good. All right, next plant is a coneflower. And this one is a Powwow White. And I am just going to put this in on the other side over here. I love adding white to my containers. It just adds that, pop. I feel like you're not done until you've got white in the container. So, now, this one doesn't have quite the root system that the others do, but that's okay. We're going to take really good care of this pot. We're going to water it, and we're going to let it go right in there. Some more soil back here. Now, you see I am using the soil out of the container that I pulled the cornflower out of, and that's fine. The soil is fine. You can mix it. This has feed from the grower, which a lot of people ask, do you feed? I don't feed if it's an annual pot and I'm replacing plants and soil every year, because an annual is only going to make it through the year. Now, this container, if you were to leave it till next year, the grass would come back, the rutabaga would come back, the coneflower would come back. So, maybe you want to overplant it with some winter flowers, but keep it for next year too. So what you'll want to do is you will want to feed, because it doesn't get any nutrients in the pot unless you give it to it, because when it's planted in the ground, it can search out what it needs. In the pot, not so much. Okay. I'm going to do a little more white, and I'm going to do a little more texture. This is Dusty Miller. And one of the good things about planting late in the season is I've got some plants with some decent size on them. Dusty Miller doesn't normally come this size, in this size container. And it will get to a decent size. But this one's been here for a while, and it's perfectly fine to go ahead and put it in this container. And I'm going to pop it in between these two right here. And just nestle it down in there. And I am just planting that for texture and a little bit of leaf color. Okay. I'm going to add a little more white. This is a Vinca, and Vinca does great through the summer season, the whole season. And a lot of times they'll reseed themselves. So even though you don't replant them, you are sometimes graced with some free plants. All right, so I'm going to tuck this in right here. This is going to be the shortest of the flowers that we have planted. Okay, I just want to pull this out. I would be a little happier if this coneflower was a little more substantial and just a little bit bigger, but that's okay. He's going to do fine in there. And then I want a trailer. And a lot of times I'm matchy-matchy, and I feel like I have to balance both sides. In this case, I'm not going to. I'm struggling as to what color leaf I want to use. I'm going to use a trailer. I love this bright green. It's just bright and happy, and it draws your eye. But I'm going to add some of this Vinca out of this hanging basket into it, and I'm not sure that it's enough of a contrast. So I think maybe we'll go with this one, which has got a little bit of pink in it, a little bit of white, and it is more, I'd say, on the frosty tones. So I think I'm going to put this one in, and since I've kind of got the frosty tones over here, I'm going to go ahead and tuck this one in right here. Now, it is late in the season. It's July the 15th. A lot of plants have already, growers have grown their thing, nurseries have sold their thing, and there's not a lot available in some cases. And that's the case with this beautiful Vinca. This is a trailing Vinca, which is relatively new to the market, and it is truly amazing. Unfortunately, I can't find it in little 4-inch pots, which is what I would rather start with. So I've got it in this hanging basket, and I like things that are kind of finished anyway. So I am going to take this basket apart, and I'm going to use either all or some of this. And it looks like I've got maybe 3 separate plants in here, which is fabulous, because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dump it. And see, that's the liner for the basket here. Wow. I am going to cut this one. This is one that I would cut. I have my knife. So I am just going to go in here and I'm going to cut out a pie wedge so that I can save the other two pieces while I use the third piece. Just cut out the pie wedge. Here we go. And I am going to find this one. Little spot right here. Okay. So that's actually pretty good. I'm just going to play a little bit here and there to arrange things a little bit to my liking. Prop this one up just a little bit more. Add a little more soil back here. And I'm just going to check to make sure that I've got soil in all the little crevices and the cracks. It helps, to water it in, see where it settles, and then you can add more soil as you need to. I'm not going to do that because then it would be way too heavy for us to get it where it needs to be. We'll water it in place. So I'm just going to clip here and there where I need to clip the grass off. And I think we might be done with this one. So I have another container this size, or not this size, but this style that I will plant. So if you want to join us again, you can watch that happen.